Geneva Motor Show 2012 is when the Renault Zoe first appeared on the market. Now, this one has been updated over all the years, but this version of it is the Zoe 50. This one changes the game for Renault and might actually make this an affordable 5-door family hatchback. So I'm going to have a good look around this car and see if it just lives up to today's expectations of where I want electric cars to go. Okay, let's have a look around the outside of this car first. So, the first remarkable bit of the Zoe is it looks like a Zoe. They haven't gone too far from it. It's still trying to keep that smooth line down on the side. So when you look at the side of it here, you notice that there's no door handle on the back door visible along this side of it, but they have put in this little kind of fingerprint one here. You pull, that opens the door. So that's how you open the back doors. I don't really like that. I prefer a traditional handle on the back, but it doesn't really bother me all that much. Nice alloys in this one as well, and also you see in the front headlights here, you see this little thing, LED Pure Vision. They've gone on that route. They put little spot lamps on here at the bottom as well. We zoom in on those ones right here, and you got this kind of now traditional sort of grille that's on these front things. The word Zoe on the front here is the only real clue that you're looking at the Zoe car in the first place. If you want to, that's where the charge point is on the front. So I'll show you. When I go in here, you press that. And then, when you come around the front, you see the changes that has happened to the ZE range. So now we have a CCS connection in here as well as a Comedian one. Anyway, we'll get on to charging later on. There seems to be a problem maybe, but we'll see. That closes itself. Feel that? See the way that goes, locks in there. One remarkable thing you won't notice that the windscreen wipers come on, there is a long windscreen wiper and then there's a tiny windscreen wiper as well. Just a little feature on the front. Cameras on the top. This one has wind deflectors on it as well on the front doors, which is needed, to be honest with you, when it's raining. So the back of the car is quite cute. This is where you get to see the new thing, the 50, the ZE Electric 50. And you have these beautiful LED lights, edge lighting design. And now we open up, we actually find there's a fairly decent boot in here. Make sure you can still see that camera. There's actually a fairly decent boot in here. Now you can see my camera gear is in here as well, but here's the problem with all electric cars, is this thing, right? Let me show you. See this? This cable has to go somewhere, and that's where I put it, because I've used it. And then behind that is a subwoofer, which is really, it does get in the way. Changes the shape of the boot of the car entirely. I think I wouldn't bother with that, to be honest, which is not necessary. There is shopping bag hooks on both sides, congratulations, and there is a nice little parcel shelf there as well. Very simple design, nice piece, sort of a clamshell feel to it. Plenty of access, big step into the boot though, when you're in there. Overall, I like the exterior, I do. I think it's quite cute in this colour particularly. And it is a full-size, really, 5-door hatchback. So you're talking about Renault Clio size car, really. Pretty nice. Anyway, let's crack on with the interior. So it's actually the interior where Renault have made most of their improvements. The exterior hasn't changed a huge amount, but it's enough to make it different. But the interior is where it's been upgraded. There's good materials being used here. Nice squidgy dashboard. That's actually my face mask. I'll put that away. So, in here we have this large screen now, so you hold on this will play a tune. Hold on a second. There you go. That greets you every time you get in, and the ZE appears up at the top. This is Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. It's all installed already in the car. Let's turn off the air conditioning. This touchscreen is a fingerprint magnet. It literally, every time you touch it, you will leave a fingerprint on it. Some people don't care about that, other people do. There's a home button, then there's an app button as well, as allows you to get into the applications and notifications and settings and car information, music, radio, all that sort of stuff. Navigation is installed on this car by Renault anyway. There's also 2 front heated seats, air conditioning, and a good set of big chunky knobs which wouldn't go out of place in an Audi. It just looks as good here. Audi, BMW, Mercedes would make these kind of knobs as well, very same sort of thing. Beneath that, where it should be, there's 2 standard USB ports and an aux-in connector and a 12-volt socket and a little tray to put things in here as well. Then you come back to a kind of an awkward gear stick. That could be better. Then you have a wireless charging tray behind that, which is quite unusual to be putting into a kind of a standard family 5-door hatch. Then your park and brake and the auto hold system is here as well. Dashboard layout itself, really not a lot of information on dashboard about, like I'm not going to get a lot of graphs or a lot of, you know, downloadable things onto an app. Some are going to go, wow, I accelerated by 0.2 of a millimeter better on another version. You're just not going to see that here in the Zoe much when you're driving along. Basically tells me how much range I've got left. The battery's 64% charged. I can do another 178 kilometers on that. And then it just says ready. And that's pretty much it. Eco button is the only button we've got that kind of changes modes or gives me better stuff. And I can also go into braking here, which allows the car to recharge a bit faster and gives you more resistance when you decelerate. It's all very straightforward, and that's what I like. So make no mistake, it's the straightforwardness of this car that actually makes it a little bit more entertaining as a car to live with, because there isn't 1,000 buttons and I don't need to worry about too many different things to make the car go. Just start, D, and away off you go, and that's it. It's just, it doesn't matter what powers it, it just seems to be quite cleverly done. Anyway, make sure it's got a bit of room in the back seat. Let's check that. Oh yeah, the engine's on. There's a problem with electric cars. It has to start beeping at you because you forget the engine's on. So I'm not a fan of the way the doors open from the back because the handle is too small, Renault. You know, that door, I know it's a quirky little feature, but that little door handle is tiny and the door is very tinny. Anyway, the back seat is where, like every other 5-door hatchback, it all starts to kind of crumble, okay? So you can see I'm buried up against the back seat here, but that's okay. I still actually have room. It's not completely uncomfortable back here. The headrest extends so I can have a nice relaxed space, but I'm up against the roof here. The Bob Hawk doesn't quite fit into this roof all the time. There's no center armrest or anything in here, and the third seat belt is buried into the roof of the car. But this is meant to be a small 5-door hatchback. This is Clio size, not Megane size. There's also a lovely little convenient pocket here that goes sideways in, which I quite like. And I have 2 USB ports back here. So like that's a huge improvement to have USB ports back here. No vents of any kind, so I can't control the temperature back here. This one has a Bose sound system in it, so the stereos are Bose in the door. And there's little small door pockets. Quite nice. Let's look at the boot. Okay, so boot of the car. We've already had a quick look in the boot, but it is worth remembering that the boot space in this car is very big, very deep, but the step over it is huge. The drop to the floor is quite large, particularly when the Bose sound system is put in, because it's put in above the carpet here. You can split level these things, but the system itself is actually installed in on top of the carpet, so I can't split level this one. So it's quite deep. You can fit a lot of stuff in it. For sure, you can get at least 4 or 5 people's worth of luggage and stuff, shopping, things, whatever you want in here. Plenty of space, and these seats all fold flat, so you can actually make it a bigger boot every time. These are sold as vans in some countries, so bear that in mind. Anyway, let's go for a spin on a drive and see how far we get on the new electric Zoe. But the problem I have here is just going to put up for a second, because when I put on the parking brake, when I stop, it sticks in D and I have to press forward to go into neutral. Why is that? Why is there no park, P? I know you don't have to have it on electric cars, but I think it'd be very useful to have it on electric cars. Now I currently have 64% battery, 178 kilometers range. It's more than enough to go pretty much anywhere. But the beauty of this car is the way it charges and how it discharges. That's the thing. This is the perfect Irish car. Perfect. And I'm going to explain right now why that is. So this is Ireland. Ireland is a little island on the west coast of Europe. This is England, beside us. Now, look at this. If I measure from one side of the country even out to the tip of the other side of the country, and we zoom in, there's 280 kilometers, okay? That's from Dublin to the west coast of Ireland. If I change those 2 locations from the top to the very tip of the south, the range then becomes 457 kilometers, Okay, so wherever you go, you get shorter that direction. Look, 353. Wherever you are on the island of Ireland, you can get from one side to the other in a relatively short space of time. Renault also have this really convenient thing on their website where you can put in the speed you want to travel at what temperature the outside world is, and what size the wheels are, which are all things that will affect the car. It doesn't really take into account the weight of the car. But you can see here at 100 kilometers an hour, even at 10 degrees, so that's quite a cool day, so we go a little bit warmer, go a little bit warmer, and it gets further, right? But even on a cool day, you still have 267 kilometers range. So let's just look here, 274 coast to coast. Okay, so you can see the difference between the two of them here, with eco mode off as well. So everything going well and all things happening at normal, you should easily make it almost coast to coast, and nobody does this, in a single charge in the Renault Zoe. Now if I was actually going to towns or whatever along the way, so you can see there is where Port-Leash is, 92 kilometers. There is where Athlone is, 128 kilometers. These have all got charge points. Okay, Westport is over this direction, 231. So this car can go coast to coast easily. Okay, it's not going to make this journey, but I don't think I've ever driven that journey myself. Okay, that's 447. Now, stop for a charge there somewhere. But if you were to go from Belfast to Wexford, which is down here somewhere, 214 kilometers, no problem. This is easily the simplest way to explain this, that you can do this yourself, making journeys like that all the time. Even at 120 kilometers an hour, you still have 209 kilometers of range to go, and cars, electric cars on the motorway, don't tend to do well anyway. So this is the perfect Irish car because of the way it charges and the way it discharges, because we have free charging here at 22 kilowatt chargers. Bear that in mind. But besides that, we have the perfect country for this car. This is a car that should carry you pretty much anywhere in the country on a single charge, and charge up quick enough at the other end to be able to come straight back again without too much of a big delay in between. You can literally go to the cinema and come out and have a full charge at a 22 kilowatt charger, not a fast charge. Really, when it comes to electric cars, you have to go to the very top end. And I'm talking about like Porsche Taycan, Audis, Mercedes EQC, to get a car that drives well. Most of the kind of affordable, when I say affordable, all electric cars are expensive, but when you get to the more affordable end of the market, then none of them really drive pretty good. This one though, this is actually okay. When you're driving along, even in eco mode, it's actually got a nice little bit of power behind it. It's not going to be fast, it's not going to be accelerated, it's not going to break your neck or anything, but it's still going to be comparable to a non-turbocharged petrol. Put it that way. I actually quite like trundling along in it. It's missing a couple of things. It's missing an armrest on this side. It's got the arm at the door on that side, but it's missing the armrest on this side. It really is. This whole empty space here between the seats, it's great for cup holders, but it's not great for a long distance drive. It's also got pretty much all of the comforts I wanted a car. Decent Bluetooth without hooking up anything. It's got sat-nav without hooking up anything, but it's also got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I do miss, to some degree, some sort of graph or something on the screen to tell me how to reassure me I'm being efficient when I drive. I know there's a leaf there, gets smaller and bigger and the more efficient I'm being, but I still would rather have a physical something there, some sort of graph to say I'm doing well in the way I'm driving, I'm doing badly, I can improve my efficiency, whatever it is. Now, as I said, charging can be done from a standard home charger, which these days is like 7.5 kilowatts. That's the standard one at home, 7.4 if you want. You can go less at home, but to go more at home, you would need 3-phase electricity, so bear that in mind. By far and away, the cheapest way to run one of these cars is to charge at home, unless you charge at a 22 kilowatt charger, which is currently free in Ireland. To do that, you just need one of those little cards, of which you can get them. I have one here inside the car. It's right there, a little ESB card, opens up those 22 kilowatt chargers and will allow you to charge there for nothing. You will go from empty, 0 to full in about 2.5 hours in this car at one of those chargers. It's one of the very few cars that actually will charge at 22 kilowatt at a charger. And I'm talking about like Mercedes EQC and the Audis and all. Nope, they only charge at nice and slow rates. This doesn't. Take it out of eco mode and it actually becomes a little bit more fun as well. You will use more battery, obviously. You put your foot down, there is a big surge of power. It feels like someone just installed a turbocharger under the bonnet when you put your foot down, especially at lower speeds. Great little sprinty car in towns, really good sprinty car around cities and stuff. Just a clever little machine. This has become probably my favorite car. The Kia e-Soul used to be my one, but this is much more clever. This is what Renault is good at. This is what Renault should be good at. Small cars that feel that very French vibe about them. It's a lovely little car. I really like this car. I wish the key fob thing wasn't a card anymore. That needs to go, Renault. That thing needs to go. I don't know what you're going to do to replace it, whether you replace it with an app or something, but that needs to go because it's very hard to find somewhere to put the thing. I had to turn off the active, so when you walk away from the car locks. I had to turn it off, and the reason I had to turn it off is because there's a child in the car, and when I walked away the door's all locked, the alarm went on. Even though the child had a seatbelt on, the car should detect that there's someone still in the car if you're going to have that auto locking feature. So I ended up having to turn it off, but it's a minor inconvenience. The card opens and closes as you walk towards it, which is kind of cool. You can use the buttons on the door handles. There's a physical key as well, or you can use these cards which can turn on and off the lights and stuff, but I'd rather a key than that thing, to be honest with you. Overall, Renault have hit the mark with this car and I really like it. I think it's really good and it's on the affordable side, still not as affordable. You look at a Renault Clio, it's cheaper, much cheaper, but as electric cars go, this is one of the most affordable. And in Ireland you get a £5,000 grant and a £5,000 discount off VRT. So all told you get 10 grand off its full retail price, which makes this car very affordable in the sense of EVs. That's the only drawback I have, is the fact that all EVs are overpriced. They're way more expensive than their petrol powered equivalents, and there is much more compromise to an electric car than there is to a petrol car. If you're coming from a diesel or a petrol to an electric car, there is a lot to learn. There's a lot of apps, a lot of things you have to download, a lot of terminology changes, a lot of things happen all of a sudden when you're in electric cars, and that is a compromise. But at the same time, it doesn't hurt the Zoe here. I think the Zoe, if you have a home charger, you get a grant for those as well. I think the Zoe might be the first entry level into it of electric cars. I think they do it very well here. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you have subscribed at this point. You can join me any Sunday for the Sunday service. There's a list of links down below if you want to help this channel stay afloat. It'd be brilliant. Be a member, be on Patreon, whatever way you want to do it. It's all down at the bottom. Just even go into PayPal there and send some money. That would be great. But if you can't, hit the subscribe button. That's free. It doesn't cost nothing when you subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. And until the next time, I will see you on the far side.